wrestling fan and wrestling show on the big beefy boy Shaz Beef, joined by my fellow old bug in Morro. We also have Johnny the Draw Martin, hey, and Gherkins. Hey. How are we all, fellas?
Four-man boot.
How are we all?
Good,
You're
right?
good?
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, yeah. Ready to talk some wrestling?
That's a nice jumper you have there, Shane.
Thanks very much. I've had it for a very, 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 very long time, and I wear it when I get fat, so it doesn't it still looks all right. And yeah, it's nice.
I have a lot of fat jumpers.
Yeah,
I constantly fluctuate.
This one it's everlasting. So you don't buy it and it's too tight. You get when you buy it and it's like you have a bit of weight off you. It's like it feels nice and baggy. But then when you put a bit of weight on, it's like it's a nice snug fit. Yeah, that's the way to be. Did you enjoy last week's podcast? Did you listen to it?
What was last week's one?
About matches that you would show a non-wrestling fan. It'd be interesting to get your opinions on it.
No, I have not, as of yet.
I listened to the start of it.
It's one of our most listened to in 1 week.
Yes, it is. It's proven to be a bit of a draw. Don't be getting jelly now. But just get to kind of follow up on that. Like, if you were to sit someone down that had no concept really of wrestling,
You're only allowed to show them one match.
only one match. You're in a tribe and you have to show them one match, and they have no
You're
concept
going
of
out
wrestling.
into the Brazilian Amazon and you have a portable DVD player and you got one match on a DVD.
Like, if it was someone who's a complete newbie who hadn't seen any wrestling forever, I'd say probably Stadium Stampede 2020.
Great call.
That's
Someone else says that on there.
If it was someone who's maybe a Lapse fan, I would be throwing on that Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville match, Quick Sharp.
Very good
I
idea.
didn't think of that one.
Both good shouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of I saw in the Discord people mentioned, or maybe it was in the comment section of YouTube, that are we aiming at a kids?
Yeah, I found that an interesting
That was a
point.
great question.
Because that's what I was thinking. It'd be more cartoony, kind of like the Stadium Stampede, like a big plunder match. So I'll go with Hardcore Holly versus Al Snow Backlash in 1999.
What would I show a small child in the river?
River
I'd be like,
Mississippi.
Abdullah the Butcher versus the Sheik.
But we never mentioned Rock and Hogan either at WrestleMania 18.
I don't know how we didn't think of that. That seems like an obvious shout.
What matches were you talking
We
about?
spoke for an hour and we never mentioned Rock
We went
Hogan.
into the Rumble a bit, which, to be fair, Rumble is a lot of fun. So that's
We didn't go into it too deeply. Like we agreed on Eddie versus Brock, No Way Out.
As a perfect distillation of professional wrestling.
But I don't think
We
that's
put
what.
our own part, like, because we started off with Undertaker and Mick Foley.
Now that match the Eddie Brock one didn't get mentioned for an hour, and then we just heard it and said, "Yeah, do you know what? We'll go with that," and we ended the podcast.
To be honest with you, great match, and I love it, but that wouldn't crack my top 10 of that concept at all.
Yeah,
Fair.
It's to. I feel you need to know the history a bit there.
And the history was not completely prevalent in that build.
No, but what we're talking about is the actual dynamic of a smaller guy against a big fucking like heel, and then the smaller, like the premise of what wrestling is the underdog fighting the bigger guy, and the story that they tell throughout that match.
Would you nearly go HBK Undertaker over Mankind Undertaker?
No.
HBK Undertaker Hell in a
First
Cell.
cell, yeah.
No, because
Small and big, and then Kane comes in. You're like, fucking
yeah, but
hell,
Shawn
wrestling.
Michaels is the heel in it as well.
Yeah,
Weird
that's
dynamic.
fair.
It was a great match. Weird dynamic.
Well, welcome to this week's podcast. It's last week's podcast.
This week's podcast, we're talking about European wrestlers, the influential ones, some of the best ones. Obviously, D'Lo Brown is the greatest European wrestler of all time because of his championship reign. But to start us off, lots of people have sent in messages on the Instagram. You have some on Discord.
I have some Mount Rushmores.
Yeah, we'll get to maybe Mount Rushmore's a bit later
when we do our own.
But lots of people sending in messages. Jamie Boswell over in Glasgow says, "Does Kane count?" Yes.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Oisin O'Reilly says Gunther, more so as Walter, as the best. Sheamus as my favourite, though. Kieran2054 says Kendo Nagasaki.
Good
who
call.
only recently retired.
Good shout.
Osprey.
Where's he from?
England.
There was two of them.
There was one in America. Because Jim Cornette was talking about him recently. I was like, he's hardly talking about the same Kendo Nagasaki.
I thought it was all the same English dude. I mean, Kendo Nagasaki is really interesting because it's like the inverse of so much of the kind of foreign menace kind of characters in the US. And they just had it's a random English dude doing like the British version of that as a Japanese martial arts expert.
Sick. You're all over it. I think that couldn't be more.
His
up my
mask
street.
existed just so they wouldn't know that he wasn't actually Japanese.
Alma Hierro wrote in loads. He said Osprey, Walter, David, Pac, Ilya, Claudio, Regal, Finley, Dynamite Kid, Davey, Andre, Bruno.
Well, we're going to talk about all these guys.
Evan O'Rafferty, most successful definitely has to be Sheamus. Jurbanahan, there's some loaded questions, so many legacy point of views, Andre and Bruno, but the favourites are Gunther and Finn. Seamus Cadden says Gunther, Sheamus, Balor, Devlin, Finley, and Trent Seven. Technically, the Nerdy Scholar says Gunther, personality, Sheamus, so that's a common thread here. Ron the Analyst says Andre as the all-time top attraction, but Dynamite Kid, all names that we've mentioned as well. Regal getting a mention from Oisin McCarthy. Drew getting a mention from McAllister. Darren Burns says Prince Devito is the greatest European wrestler of all time. Brian Maxwell says 4 Al Snows. Dutch Gold Pappy says Regal. Unfortunately, it's the piece of shit Dynamite Kid, says the real Celtic Tiger. Claudio Castagnoli, Finn and Becky.
We'll get to that.
Claire Flood says Adrian Street.
Hell yeah.
Great
What a show.
Yeah. Also Mark Hoskins. Foley says William Regal. James Doyle Coach, Finley, Dynamite, Regal, Gunther, Balor. Gunther has to be up there. His Tyler Bate match and the match he had against Tucker, says the golden one. Tommy Lightning, says DJ Chatteroos. Hassan,
I don't have
says
Tommy Lightning in my top 10, to be honest.
I don't either. Dave Meehan says Bruno, Andre Regal. All the ones that we've already mentioned as well. So some good names in there. That's been the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
We've mentioned all of them.
I think we should start by like really just getting into like the ones that really meant a lot to us growing up and like growing up, and the ones that we all grew up with and that we're really into. So George Hackenschmidt,
Jim Landis.
Like, what is...
He
Sorry,
was Greek, wasn't he?
not to overdo...
Jim Landis was Greek, yeah.
Well, there's your answer. We never talked about him earlier.
Well, George Hackenschmidt is
German.
Estonian. But George Hackenschmidt is recognised as the world's first ever wrestling heavyweight champion. And George Hackenschmidt is the biggest wrestling draw who, to everyone's knowledge, never ever had a worked match.
Never had a worked match.
Shoot matches.
He's like
Well, that's not wrestling then, is it?
It fucking is.
It's not.
Because he wrestled those boys to fucking death.
Did he wrestle Karl Gotch? No, his Gotch was later.
Karl Gotch is a Belgian dude who was kind of later. He trained Minoru Suzuki. He trained
a shitload of dudes.
who else?
Ken Shamrock?
Maybe Shamrock.
What are the parameters? Like, what to be
Born
to
in
be the
Europe.
best?
Born in Europe.
No, I know that, but like to be, what are we
post Brexit? Pre was it Maastricht?
But what's got the best wrestlers
Well, like,
or
just
most
talking about-
influential? Like, do you talk about Nigel McGuinness? Do you talk about like guys?
Anybody? We're literally spamming European wrestlers.
Just spamming them.
We're spamming wrestlers.
Just pick a fucking country and then spam a load of wrestlers from the country and then move on to the next
another
country.
country.
But I
love this idea.
Estonia. George Hackenschmidt.
There's one name.
Ludwig Borga. Where's he? Is he
Finland.
Finland. Oh, sorry.
There is one name that didn't come up in that, but when a certain name was mentioned of Adrian Street, it went, oh, fuck yeah. Like, I have a lot of reverence for the ones that did it in the territory days. Of course, you have Dynamite, you have Davey, you have Andre, you have Adrian Street. And then someone that I've been watching a lot of and had a big influence on Steve Austin's career is the gentleman Chris Adams. And he was phenomenal. Like, people regard him as the inventor of the super kick. Like, when you look at people who were so influential in Steve Austin's career, influential then with the super kick, like, he's had a tremendous impact on the industry.
Yeah, and then you look like
Didn't
someone mentioned
a full year of house shows with Steve Austin.
Yeah, in the UWF or something.
He was down in Texas. He was a big star in Fritz von Erich's territory, and he basically took Austin under his wing and trained him. And I think effectively Austin ended up fucking off with his missus.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's true.
Now,
story.
look, keep in mind with Chris Adams. Didn't Chris Adams kill a woman? Like,
I don't think so, did he?
He was apparently a notorious domestic abuser, had tons of drug issues.
Allegedly.
Bet up an air stewardess on a flight once.
allegedly.
I'll take
So
back
does
my
that
Chris
just-
Adams stuff.
Well done, Shane. Thanks for getting us.
Well,
straight off.
Dynamite Kid wasn't so good as well. He's been mentioned a
Well,
few times
Chris
already.
Adams, I don't know, he probably is a bit worse than Dynamite. Look, you're talking about two British guys who both had Dark Side of the Ring episodes about them. True. So that says it a lot, you know.
If you main event wrestling, so we spoke about Becky Lynch on the WhatsApp before, and you said she's not even in my top 10. She main evented WrestleMania. She did it as a woman. Why? Give me a soundbite for the TikTok.
I just don't think like I'm going when I'm picking it. My Mount Rushmore when we get there.
Yeah.
I'm going not solely off, but mostly off influence on the industry. And I think we're several years on from Becky's main event at WrestleMania. I don't think it's changed a single thing about how women are treated within the industry at the top end.
Like, yeah, that's fair enough. You're also at the same time talking about what I think is undoubtedly like the biggest female star the industry has ever seen. And it's not just me saying it. Pro Wrestling Illustrator saying it. Howard Slammer saying it. Loads of people are saying it. It's without doubt that she is the biggest star and what would be termed to like the female, the closest we've got to a female equivalent of Stone Cold Steve Austin. In terms of the turnaround in the product, which... Granted, it didn't sustain on the main event level, but the fact that she was the one who kind of got it to the main event level.
Broke through the glass ceiling.
That's important. She did break through the glass ceiling. But I just
And the grass ceiling.
And the grass ceiling. I just don't think it had a sustained level of influence on the industry. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily blame Becky for that. I'm not saying like that's a stain on her legacy.
No, it's not, because let's face it, no woman has gotten as over as Becky Lynch got back then. I mean, some have gotten really over.
Yeah, a lot of people have gotten mad over.
The closest I would say in mainstream US wrestling is probably Rhea Ripley, and they haven't put her within a sniffing distance of a WrestleMania main event yet.
And they should.
I think they should, but like a lot of it is probably down to an opponent for her.
Story,
I feel
and booking. But like if
and this was only a one-day WrestleMania as well that she got to headline.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it wasn't like night one or anything. It was a fucking huge achievement.
Yeah, like,
to
I mean,
go.
she also got dicked over by the booking because Charlotte should never have been inserted
Charlotte should
there.
never have been near that match.
Well, the initial concept was Charlotte and
Becky got in.
And then
Ronda
Becky got
Rousey.
so hot.
How many European wrestlers have WrestleMania for a world title?
Well, Andre,
Sheamus, Drew,
Sheamus, Drew,
Becky.
Yeah, that's
That it?
probably it.
We're definitely got to be
There's Mount
missing.
Rushmore.
Alberto Del Rio, he's Spanish, isn't he?
No, he's Mexican.
Kane, the ECW title.
Kane never main event
No.
WrestleMania.
No, but he said for a world title.
For a world title.
He beat Chavo in 8 seconds.
Oh man, we're going to
Chavo.
plummet that low.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, that's what I like. You,
Yeah, Kane. The number one wrestler to ever come out of Madrid, Spain. The reign
actually,
in Kane.
A-Kid is better than Spain.
Rain and Kane. That's
Oh,
good.
it's likely
So my thing like isn't that like it's nothing to do with Becky per se. It's just to do with sustained level of influence that she wasn't given really the opportunity.
I will argue though
Yeah,
that
but
you will mention a few people that won't have had the sustained level of influence as Becky did.
Very possible. And we can argue
get to
that.
that. Yeah.
You look at that Man United treble squad and stuff, and they've had that crowning moment of winning it in 1999.
Who gives a shit?
No,
Why does it? Becky Lynch is the
What about
Teddy
doing
Sheringham of wrestlers.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
they
about
got
the
results.
No,
Teddy
but
Sheringham.
what I'm saying is like they've reached the pinnacle of what they were out to do. So like that's the legacy created forever.
Sorry, did they go unbeaten in a league?
That's a sport though. It's
But
different.
even
you know
in the
what I
way
mean?
you phrased it, Shane, you're saying like in fairness, Becky is like part of the first female main event that main event a one night WrestleMania. Like Bianca and Sasha main evented WrestleMania, but that was in a night 2 deal. I still count it. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That discourse is still going like back and forth at the moment now because people are going, night 2 is actually the real main event. And like I just feel like if you're closing the show on a card and the card is called WrestleMania, you're in the main event.
Yeah, well, like the closing the show thing is very interesting because
Or opening it.
I'm going to jump onto another wrestler.
But can I just put, before you do that, put into context, 10 years before it, they had a battle royal that for the ladies that Santino Marella won.
Yeah, I know.
So like 10 years later,
I don't even think that was 10 years. It was
WrestleMania 25.
6 years or something.
WrestleMania 25.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Santino Morello, no mention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, right.
But
yeah.
like also though, like when you look at obviously Becky broke through the glass ceiling and was big, it was her heat that she had, not heat, but like draw with the crowd that
Over as fuck
that got them to main event it. But would they have gotten to that point had it not been for Bayley and Sasha and Brooklyn? Because really, I think the key kind of demarcation on post and pre women's wrestling in WWE is that match.
you can say that about anything ever in wrestling.
But sure, that's just
like
when you're.
would have this moment have happened at WrestleMania 3 had it not been for WrestleMania 1? So should Paul Orndorff not really get
Well, Paul Orndorff should actually get more credit than he deserves.
But that's what I'm
I know.
You go back to George
but see,
Hackenschmidt.
you brought in the Santino Morello thing, and it wasn't necessarily what Becky did that was the break in how women's wrestling was viewed from Santina Morello to Becky. The break in that mindset came with Sasha and
Yeah,
Bayley.
the ball was given to her.
But Becky had Becky had a Stone Cold Steve Austin moment. Like she had that level of
that moment on that SmackDown in
but you don't
New York,
you wouldn't
wherever
discredit
she got-
Austin and say, well, that only happened because Brett and Shawn Michaels did it for 4 years prior to that, or Hogan and
Yeah, but
and,
I think
and
it's
Macho
so
Man.
clear with how they viewed women's wrestling, where the breaking point is of what changed.
Stephanie McMahon started the women's revolution.
Stephanie McMahon founded women's wrestling.
She founded women's wrestling in 2015.
with Nikki Bella.
But like also right, and when we do these conversations about women's wrestling and talking about Becky and all Japan women's in the early 90s
Here we go.
were
That's
filling,
a different continent.
I know, we're filling stadiums though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like
It was the hottest product in the world.
they were filling stadiums.
Crucially, not in Europe.
They filled the Tokyo Dome. I know. But like my point being is,
Crucially.
it is amazing that women main evented WrestleMania. But when we act like that's the first time something like that has ever happened, we're just being dishonest.
Just
as well.
you're being dishonest. Give her props.
talking about
she
fucking
needs
pride.
to
It seems like it's
pour
a
in the
denigrator.
conversation.
She's in around the conversation.
In
I
or
just
around.
don't
You
have
wouldn't even
her.
say it.
I just don't even have
The
her.
main
I don't
event-
have her.
the
in
The
my
conversations
top-
here on Becky is like just watching from over here.
I don't have her in my top 10. And also, if you look at her current
In your
work-
top fucking 10 of European wrestlers, Becky Lynch.
well, no, I don't have a top. I haven't thought of a top 10 yet, but I could easily come up with 10 that have.
She's on your Rushmore, right?
She's not on my Rushmore. No.
That's fair.
No.
Okay, I mean, she doesn't have to be
She's
in
not
the
my- she's not on my Rushmore. She's like I thought about her when I was making my
I need
Rushmore.
to know his Rushmore right now. I'm sorry.
We'll get to Rushmore. Morro, I agree with you, on a lot of things, but I think you're fucking out of order. I think you're
And
bang out of order.
this isn't clickbait for TikTok. I do
fucking
believe
is.
this. When I give my Mount Rushmore,
Okay,
and
give
my
me an
reason-
alternative. Not Becky. Give me another. Talk about
Female alternative.
No, I just want to hear him.
You fucking did earlier.
I just want to hear him talk about someone else, and I want to see how that stacks up against your discourse against Becky.
Well, like my number one pick would be Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, fuck's sake!
And my number two pick would be Andre. And I think they're locks, like.
And what about your 3 and your 4?
You want to get into my 3 and my 4 now?
Yeah, give us
Am I
your fucking
doing it
Mount
now?
Rushmore.
Dynamite Kid is my number 3.
Ah, it's bullshit.
Dynamite Kid is my number 3. I think his influence, I think he is one of the most influential wrestlers on modern style.
He invented the concussion.
There's been
High point of his career, winning tag titles at WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, we're not talking about
Fucking
like what
notoriously
he did.
hated
It's
by
like-
everyone he worked with.
You go
Spent
on.
30 years pretending to be in a wheelchair, working everyone. So he
Yeah,
gets
and
disability
that's why he's
benefit.
on the Mount Rushmore.
Look,
He worked us for 30 years in a wheelchair.
He worked the insurance company.
Yeah, that's
That's
genius,
different. They
like.
don't know the difference.
That's genius.
Dynamite Kid is one of the most innovative, influential, superlative workers there ever was.
Influential.
Okay, well maybe the parameters then are going to be influence.
That's my
Parameters.
that's my
Parameters.
parameter.
I knew this would
my
come up.
Rushmore is going to be the 4 fucking
Achievement.
biggest fucking stars to ever come out of Europe.
That's fair,
in my
as well.
opinion.
Yeah, like you can. My parameters. I decided on. I'm going to do this on
This domestic
influence on the
abuser.
industry.
This domestic abuser.
On most domestic abuse cases is what I was
Get
going.
Chris Adams. Get Dynamite Kids.
But so I went to Dynamite because of his influence on modern wrestling style.
Yeah,
I think
talk
he's-
about the influence.
He's
What has
the
he
most
done?
influential in-ring wrestler.
Stop saying that. What did he influence?
He the style of wrestling that we
Who
have
did he
today.
influence the most,
Yeah.
do you think? What wrestler actor came after him?
It sounds like he influenced Morro the most.
I think there's a man. There's a man in particular.
Who really, was
Who
the big...
embodied everything about
Who did his
Dynamite
move?
Kid?
Who carried on his legacy?
Who did his move off the
You
top
don't
rope?
have to say this.
Say it, Morrow.
Chris Benoit.
Oh, you piece of shit.
But like,
Son of a-
I don't like. There's more people who look at Dynamite Kid, and you go back to the Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask matches. That was like almost the birth of the modern style of wrestling. That like, there's no dispute on that. I think pretty much everyone agrees on that point.
Yeah.
That Dynamite and Tiger Mask matches from the 80s are the kind of birth of the modern style of wrestling.
British wrestling in general, you would say, did a huge job at influencing professional wrestling today.
At the same time, I wouldn't
yeah.
say that like 6 exceptional mid-card matches are enough to be on a Mount Rushmore of European wrestlers.
And that's what like. He doesn't have the achievement that Becky has, but I just think the work he did. Unfortunately, we know he's an arsehole. His work is what.
You could say though, the likes like Nigel McGuinness, Ring of Honor, what that created with the indie scene going into
Yeah,
NXT.
but see, Nigel
and
McGuinness and Brian Danielson and all are also offshoots of Dynamite style.
that's fair, I suppose.
So like you look at modern wrestling and Dynamite's fucking print is all over it.
Yeah.
And then my 4th pick, and I changed this today. I had been going with William Regal.
And you went to Hornswoggle.
No.
Is he Irish?
Well, his dad is Finley. His dad is Finley.
Well, is that Vince McMahon? There's a Mac in his
Vince
name.
McMahon is Irish.
But Finley.
We can't do the grandparent rule.
But Finley revealed he was Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle is the Tony Cascarino of wrestlers.
So I was going to go with William Regal, and Regal for two reasons, right? Obviously, his in-ring was great, and he had a lot of achievements in-ring. But again, based on achievement in-ring, you wouldn't put him Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, could I ask you a question about Regal? What's your favourite William Regal main event?
I'm talking about influence, right? So part one of Regal is he was great in ring and his style was influential and a lot of people loved him. But I think where he even has more influence is in his actual post wrestling career, in the terms of the talent scout, into the talent scouting he's done. So him going to PWG and going to all these other shows and whipping up all the indie talent and bringing them into WWE,
destroying indie wrestling,
then had huge influence on the last 10 to 15 years of in-ring.
Conversely, if your job, right, was to be a scout and to go to all the hottest promotions in the world, do you not think you could just go, Jesus, Kevin Steen is very good.
That guy's good.
Look, Keith Lee is very good.
Of course, but he's the one who did it.
What's so special about Regal's fucking eye that he was the one?
It's not that that's special. It's just he was the one that
he got a good job that he did competently. Ergo, he's one of the most influential fucking European wrestlers.
Because someone's pissed on his cornflakes.
This guy is not happy with anything. I am not getting into a conversation with this guy.
I just think like that doesn't
we
mean
have different
maybe we got different partners. Okay,
but I didn't pick
Johnny Mortos' third heel.
I didn't pick Regal because I think there's someone who's had even more influence on modern wrestling than William Regal, who's European.
You're going to say Mason Ryan, aren't you?
Was he the guy who was
the
Spurs manager there for a while?
He's the Welshman from the Nexus.
Was he the Spurs interim manager there one time?
No.
It was Ryan Mason.
Ryan Mason. No, he's part of Circus du Soleil now.
Cool. That's kind of cool. So my fourth pick, based on influence, was Prince Devitt.
Not Finn Balor, Prince Devitt. I knew he'd make that. I fucking knew.
It's the same how important that distinction was.
Yeah, I knew you were going to make that distinction.
The thing that he did that was the biggest happened when he was Prince Devitt was the founding of the Bullet Club. Because I think the founding of the Bullet Club has a very clear through line into the birth of AEW and the modern wrestling scene.
I think you're getting close to the nitty-gritty of a conversation that we all need to have, and I think that we all need to make a distinction right now. Let's all do our Irish wrestling Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Our Irish wrestling Mount Rushmore.
Dan O'Mahony count.
Hell yeah!
I don't know about, but he's in mine over Becky Lynch.
Why?
Because I feel like
he's not going to put Becky on it.
I just wanted to play this game and say
Becky's my Irish one. Of course Becky's in my Irish.
All right, I'm going to name mine, right? So, and these are just how people who made me feel. I've never seen Dan O'Mahony. I've never seen any of that. So it's Finley, Sheamus, Becky, and Finn.
That is my exact
Finley,
pick.
Sheamus, Becky,
Finley,
and
Sheamus,
Finn.
Becky, Finn.
I'm going to go with Chainsaw Luke for El Macho Frankie Venda. No, Finn, Prince Devitt.
Such an idiot.
Sheamus.
O'Shaughnessy.
Sheamus O'Shaughnessy. SOS. I go
from Irish wrestling.
I'm going to go with, what was Finley's name?
Fit.
Dave Finley.
Before he went to WWE.
Dave Finley. I'm going with Dave Finley. And I'm going with Rebecca Quinn.
Her name is Rebecca Knox, actually.
Actually, it is, but she went by Rebecca Quinn.
So you're not putting Dan O'Mahony?
No, I'm going to go with Becky Knox there on my fourth spot.
Is there, and I'm only throwing, because I'm only throwing, say, JD out there because of the work that he's done at the independent level.
Well, you could put Joe Cabray in there then.
Yeah, that's what,
similar argument to be made for Paul Tracy as well, I think.
Yeah, Paddy Morrow, he is revered. You look at Maxer, he's doing went over to 0-1, and just from an Irish perspective, there's so many in the scene. And I really like the independent side of things, because when I was thinking about greatest, say, European wrestlers, I remember when FWA started and you had Uprising, and like the lead up to that, and you had Paul Burchill. The first time I seen Paul Burchill, I was fucking blown away.
Was he dressed as a pirate?
No, he wasn't. They were presenting him as their Goldberg. Like seeing Hayde Vanson, seeing Jody Flesh and Johnny Storm.
Can I just ask you, sorry to jump in your point, Jane, but I'm just so curious about Hayde Vanson and the trajectory of that guy's career. What was he like as a wrestler?
He did this fucking really cool. I remember one spot, right? They had the guardrails from around around the ring, and they brought it in. It was the first time I ever seen guardrails being introduced into a match. And you know that suplex that you do, where you just release him, and Pete Dunne kind of does that now. Yeah. Well, the X-Plex or something. And the first time I seen him do that, he did it off like a second rope and through the guardrail. And like I was only 14 when I seen it. I was like, holy fuck.
Fully bricked.
So I remember being like really excited, having watched Uprising, which is available on YouTube now, and watching older FWAs that he was coming in. Like, I don't know if he was necessarily like a fucking technical guy or anything like that, but I remember that spot, and I remember going, oh fuck, this guy is cool.
Where's he from?
He's British. I don't think I've ever seen him. For anyone who doesn't know about Hayde Vanson, I mean, the famous story is like he had the quickest, hardest push and fall off that probably anyone did in WWF. He was brought up immediately to the main roster in 2008, ran a load of vignettes where he was going to be introduced effectively as The Undertaker's son. This estranged son, and Undertaker was going to be not sure whether this guy was legitimately his son or not. They were doing like a new modern version of the Kane.
Could have been DDP's son either.
Theoretically, could have been fucking primetime Brian Lee's son actually. Now that we're talking about
Kamal Mustafa.
Hayde Vanson came in and he had all these vignettes, and basically in one booking meeting, about 3-4 weeks into the vignettes, Triple H said, "Why the fuck are we pushing this guy? He looks like the guy who cuts my grass."
Fucking Triple H.
And immediately killed his push, and Hayde Vanson was released before he even wrestled a match. And the whole gimmick idea of The Undertaker having a son and the storylines that could have generated, which just was fucking pissed out the window.
And that like was during a time where we were getting characters like Mordecai for 3 weeks and Kazarni for 2 weeks, and they were like trying out new people and then going, no, it doesn't work, and then they were fucked off.
Yeah,
they weren't sent back to
Kazarni was a lot of vignettes going on.
Kazarni was the only one who was fucked out because his in-ring work kind of sucked, and everybody could see that. Mordecai, the reason his push got nuked is because Kevin Thorne, whatever his real name, Kevin Furtick, he nearly beat a guy 3 weeks into the bush. He nearly beat a guy to death in a fucking bar. So it wasn't because of like the Mordecai gimmick sucking. I think anybody who was watching Mordecai when that was happening in the build up, that was a fucking all timer. It was cool, like potentially an all timer. Like it was it was
the antithesis to the Undertaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Hayde Vanson, just as a British wrestler who got. And that's the thing, crucially, actually, and this is something we want to talk about as well. In
Guys from Europe, crucially.
He's English, but like very
pre-Brexit,
very few.
Post-Maastricht.
He's pre-Brexit English, and very few pre-Brexit English guys got much of a push. So
got a chance.
Got a chance.
Yeah. I mean, Galloway was the chosen one.
He was the chosen one, but he's not English. He's British. He's Scottish. How many English world champions have there been in WWF?
None. Zero.
Unless you maybe want to count that time Layla half held the women's title. How many Irish ones are there though?
Sheamus,
Becky, Finn.
Who is your beyond who's the top 3 English wrestlers that made it all the way to WWE and had a decent
British Bulldog?
Yeah,
Davey Boy Smith,
Wade Barrett did well for a while.
William Regal. I think the third spot there in terms of success, influence.
Paige, yeah, she's world champion.
Actually, Paige, it is Paige. Paige. Yeah, you're right.
And she's quite influential as well. Actually.
I think she would pip Dynamite, and she'd pip Barrett.
Yeah, in terms of achievement, definitely.
Oh, 100%.
I think so. Yeah.
But so to get back to my point, I would say about the FWA, I think they were responsible for having like the super indie early. They did like an international showdown thing, had Joe versus Punk at it. I think Foley was there, Terry Funk was there. So they created this super indie thing in said the European landscape back in 2005, which I think was directly responsible for the likes of Ospreay and all these people that were coming into the industry. And that's why we got the big boom in 2016, which included OTT. And now we're seeing fucking big booms over in, Germany has been going for a while, but France is fucking hopping.
France is the next frontier, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's not just like the French scene isn't just producing a lot of like very charismatic, talented wrestlers right now. It also seems to be like 4 new companies have popped up in no space at all. Like,
Yeah.
Hot crowds.
hot crowd, fucking hot crowd.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to like Alex Shane. I think was a big part of the FWA, and like he was contributing to fighting spirit. I'm not saying I'm going to put him on a Mount Rushmore, but talking about influential European wrestlers, he has to be said.
It is amazing when you see the influence of so many English wrestlers in America and North America and Canada over like, you know, the last 40, 50 years. It is amazing that there has not been a world champion. I think Ospreay is probably going to be the first one to take it in that regard. In terms of like a heavyweight championship of a major promotion, Nigel McGuinness obviously did it in Ring of Honor, but in terms of like your WWE, WCW back in the day, like
national TV companies,
like Regal was so close in 2008.
Oh, Regal, Regal was on the cusp,
and that was peak Regal, and unfortunately he fell apart.
He had everything nailed at that stage,
and he had the look, he had the right gimmick, at the right fucking
his mic work was
exceptional. Won the King of the Ring.
Yeah,
there's 2 English trainers there now currently. Well, there could be more, but Robbie Brookside, he's a big part of their training, and Johnny Moss, I think. And
is he English? Johnny Moss.
Yeah, but like just showing how influential that like Europe still is when it comes to
Robbie Brookside.
WWF.
Like if you go back and watch him,
Norman Smiley's in there as well.
Norman Smiley,
he's trainer there for fucking years.
Yeah.
Robbie Brookside, if you go back and watch his in-ring stuff, fucking awesome, like so good. He's like obviously like a perfect guy to have if you're doing a developmental system.
It's mad he never had a big kind of mainstream run.
Never had a mainstream run, but he's super talented.
But he kind of spent a lot of
his daughter's doing well.
Zia Brookside, she's excellent.
But like Robbie Brookside spent a lot of the 90s propping up like the British scene when it was on its fucking knees, as it was in the 90s.
And that's why like I have reverence for say the likes of Jody Flesh or maybe Alex Shane or Robbie Brookside.
They really started to bring the tide back in terms of British wrestling.
Yeah. And
what about the likes of Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy, that era?
I'm glad
Giant Haystacks got the WCW.
I'm glad Giant Haystacks had a WCW run. That's as much as I can say for that.
But like a lot of our parents, that's the era that they remember.
Their generation.
They know their household names for them.
I have a fondness for the world of sport wrestling on UTV. It is like, you know, when you watch the fucking Big Daddy and the Haystacks matches, they're so hokey. But then when you get shit like fucking Rollerball Rocco, who was a fucking all-time fucking talent,
Johnny Saint,
like
Mick McManus,
the young Stephen Regal, fucking Dynamite when he pop up, or Davey when he pop up, Finley. Like Finley was the first. Dave Finley was the first ever. Like as a wrestling fan as a kid, it was the first time I saw a dude in a fucking ring with a shamrock on his fucking pants.
Some Irish representation.
Big dirty mullet, fucking pencil tash.
And that was when he showed up in WCW.
That was so impactful.
I was like, 100. I remember. There also was another like called the Dublin Bruiser or something that
in WCW.
My first experience of Finley was he did like some enhancement stuff in WWF in the early 90s where he was just like, I think called the Belfast Bruiser or whatever.
It could be that.
But like Finley was kind of this like
there is something.
He didn't hang around enough in WWF to be known as a job guy, but he was definitely in for like 1 or 2 enhancement type matches. But then WCW were the ones who really properly pushed him. And they did it on the basis of an Ireland versus England feud, which was, you know, when you're a kid watching that in the fucking mid-90s.
But they let him out there for like 20 minutes as well. It's like, go wrestle.
And his career in WWE was good as well. He was like the guy to get through, to break through to the main event.
What age he was when he got there as well. Like.
He was in some main event programs. He was challenging for the world titles. I think he did 1 or 2 pay-per-view main events in that slot. He won the US title.
Yeah,
he got a shitload of TV time.
Yeah, fans hated him.
Fantastic opening match at one of the best WrestleManias, WrestleMania 24.
Could have been the Belfast Bruiser,
he was going by Belfast Bruiser for a while.
It was like that impact.
But also, like in 2006,
this is possible.
In 2006, when Finley debuted, that was the first time, like, you know, in the Vince McMahon Jr. era of WWF, that an Irish guy showed up. And for a guy his age, with his wear and tear at that time, he'd kind of been retired for about maybe 6 or 7 years at that point. He had a fantastic run. Like his run from 2006 to 2009, I really wish they'd, like, my wish at that time, because obviously, you know, with Finley, I was always surprised by the mileage he had in his WWE run and how much he kept going and how, like, kind of over he stayed and how good quality he was in the ring. But I was always waiting for, like, you know, when Sheamus debuted in 2009, I was going, well, fuck, okay, they're going to do Sheamus and Finley. And they did it as a random throwaway match on Raw.
There was no program.
There was no program, and I really wish there had been a program.
Should have been a program.
Same, you know, like
a proper passing of the torch,
which there hasn't really been in WWE until like maybe last year, where we had a first ever, like, I think to my mind anyway, Irish versus Irish program when you had Becky and Lyra, and then they give us for the first time a sliver of like a Sheamus against Balor, like, you know, Sheamus had that little mini feud.
That should have been
Judgment Day.
That should have been done years ago.
Skipping out,
yeah, but they've done for like us as Irish would like to see it, but maybe the American audience, it doesn't hold that much credence.
do you think for an
Irish Americans, Shane, Irish Americans would love to see
who do you think an American fan, who would they rate higher in the European wrestler, Sheamus's career or Gunter's career so far? Like, who would you say is higher in their
Sheamus, because of his
I
longevity.
would say Sheamus. Longevity and Royal Rumble win.
I think Sheamus, yeah.
But I think Gunter ultimately will win it. But
Yeah, I think Gunter, like, I think, you know, the way the WWE main event scene is going to play out over the next few years, there's going to come a point where Gunter's almost last man standing of the guys that are kind of main eventers now. Just edge profile wise, Roman Reigns winding down, Seth Rollins fuck ton of injuries. Like, it'll be a point where they'll just have to go with Gunter on top for like a year or two. And you know,
Sheamus never had that. Sheamus was always he was always a transitional.
Like nearly on.
And he's
Even
always
when he had the
transitional.
world champion, he was never main eventing.
His
Like,
second title was just because someone was injured, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
but
Randy Orton, I think.
when he won the Royal Rumble, was that the year he beat Daniel Bryan by 18 seconds?
Yeah.
Like, he won the Royal Rumble and got, like, they gave him an 18-second squash at WrestleMania. You know, it wasn't like you won the Royal Rumble and now we're fucking backing you.
But it was decent. It was a decent program between the two of them leading
It was
into that.
a fantastic build.
It was just the match itself. They were told, yes.
But it was also a thing of like, well, we need to cut time on the show. Just give them 18 seconds.
Yeah.
You're doing that to the guy.
I think that was more on
Rumble.
Danielson, though. They didn't back Danielson more than Sheamus.
Yeah, but Sheamus won the Royal Rumble and then you put him in an 18-second match. Like, you're not showcasing the guy who won the Rumble. So it always felt to me, it was like, we wanted more, but they were never going to fucking push him more than what they had him slotted as. Like, he's a cool upper mid-carder who will do things with every now and again. Whereas I think he should have got, like, there was a point there around that time where it was like, if you push this guy, he can be like, you know, a fucking mainstay main eventer for like 3 or 4 years.
Looking back on when we grew up loving watching wrestling, it really hit me when we were talking about, say, the impact of Fit Finlay, seeing him going, oh fuck, there's an Irish wrestler. But even back in the early 90s, Davey Boy just stood out to me because, like, he was only from England. I supported Manchester United, and like, I didn't at that age, John probably did, make that distinction between Ireland and England as a you know, as a fucking a thing. So to see Davey Boy over there,
that's because I fought in the 1960s.
but like, just to see,
this is going up now.
Yeah, but just to see Davey Boy,
I think
felt different.
I think that's more because Davey was portrayed as a face.
I was a huge fan of
and he's a face.
Look, I mean, like, if you grew up like as a kid in Ireland in the 1990s, most of our fucking culture, not most of our culture, but like TV culture certainly, was all like, it was English shows, and you know, and it was
the Premiership.
It was those kind of imports. It was Premiership, it was Match of the Day.
He showed up on the Den.
He showed up on the fucking Den.
That was a good touch of him. Come over here and try and mend relations between the two countries.
Davey, in terms of English wrestlers, and this is why people go, well, you know, it has to be Drew McIntyre in terms of, like, say, British wrestlers, because he won all these world titles in the main event of WrestleMania. Drew does not have a tenth of the fucking
cultural cachet,
appeal and cultural cachet that Davey Boy had.
What if Drew, though, had won that Clash of the Castle main event? Like Davey won.
If Drew's playing in his head, maybe.
The level of mainstream breakthrough that WWF had in Ireland and the UK in the early 90s was so huge. Like, it was, from 91 to 93, it was over here what it had been in America in like 85, 86. Yeah. You know, it was
on Sky, basically. So
a lot of
you even see the pictures of Ted DiBiase on Grafton Street, like, you know, like, that was like, seemed like a massive deal. That was only 10
and they were touring in Europe. Like, so.
Davey was the only one that they could have, you know, because their business was so down in the States then, and then all of a sudden it took off in Europe. Yeah. But Davey Boy was a huge part of that. He was probably the biggest part of that.
Him and Brett.
Yeah.
Brett definitely was.
Yeah. Brett was a guy who really broke through. I think Brett, in some ways,
considers himself German.
Brett's saving grace, I think, ultimately, in terms of like why Vince kept kind of reverting to him when he was trying to push other people, was like Brett would go to Germany and he's like, fucking David David Hasselhoff over there.
Yeah,
like
the arenas would sell out.
Would
off
sell out
Brett.
massively.
Yeah, yeah.
Brett was huge internationally.
But like if you think of, right, we talk about like main event in WrestleManias, and we use that as this kind of like benchmark of a parameter of success. But like,
Sorry, John.
like Davey,
Don't you fucking get involved in him. He'll kill you.
don't piss John off. There's steam coming off.
I'm just riled up there. I'm riled up with him over all that Becky Lynch land.
We're catching strays over there.
Sorry, John.
So to go back to the parameter, I think
You'll be going back to the fucking you'll be back to the Paralympics now, and I'm fucking ready.
the parameter of like we use the WrestleMania main event as a benchmark of success. In fact, I think the fact of Brett and Davey Boy at the 92 SummerSlam 80,000 in Wembley is more impressive than probably headlining maybe 27 different manias. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a more successful and culturally significant event than most WrestleManias.
When you look at the crowd that was there for Drew's first WrestleMania main event,
0 people.
it's literally 0
He drew nobody.
He drew nothing.
So Drew
couldn't draw.
main event at WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar and couldn't draw a fucking
Drew
time.
didn't
Draw.
Yeah. Whereas Davey
never
Boy
drew.
80,000 to
Davey
Wembley.
Boy drawn.
Whatever the real number was.
Well, like obviously
he
wrestling.
outdrew.
He drawed it.
Wrestling is all about fucking money or whatever, and
So they
about
say.
gates and stuff. So Andre the Giant,
Oh, Jesus Christ! Like
I was going to say Hackenschmidt apparently pulled in about 200,000 for one match.
Jim Landis has the biggest run of like stadium sellouts ever.
Yeah,
like.
massive.
like
He had like 100,000 people in a
like,
fucking Athens stadium. or
Every
some
Jim
shit.
Landis match was like WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
like Andre and fucking Bruno though, like
Well,
they're
like, there's no.
Yeah.
did they ever mix it up?
Oh yeah,
They did. They tagged together.
But it's
they
kind
tagged
of
against each
See,
other. And it is.
Andre was mostly a face, so they never really had that kind of like. They never had
They
a
never did
program.
big program one-on-one, but they tagged together a lot.
Where?
And what they would quite often do is they would do.
Rochester, New York, 1971.
They tagged together definitely in Pittsburgh.
No, sorry, I meant like which company? With WWE?
With WWF,
Oh,
yeah.
F, yeah.
WWF.
WWF.
What they would quite often do though is they would do a double header of Bruno in the main event, Andre in the co-main event.
No, there's no co-main event according to you.
There was back then.
There's no night one main event.
Oh, but there is the same night main event.
Co-main. I'm saying what they called it. I'm not saying
But
that's
like,
what it is.
he was the main of the start of the card before intermission.
Second last match.
That's where Bruno used to go on actually.
Yeah, that's what Hogan did as well.
Yeah. So the main event in those times in Madison Square Garden would be a lot of the time before the intermission because it was a curfew. So they would do Bruno's match before the intermission when like that was the main event. Then they just throw on 3 more matches after that, like. And then whenever it got to 11 o'clock, if there was a match still in the ring, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a draw. Off you go, everyone go home." But there's a famous, it's not the most famous Hogan Andre match that was in, like Pittsburgh or Philadelphia in a stadium.
Shea Stadium.
Shea Stadium is New York, so I think that's the old. What's now the New York Mets baseball stadium. But there's another stadium, I can't think of the name of it, something park. It's either Philadelphia or Pittsburgh.
Fenway Park is
MetLife.
Boston.
So-
MetLife.
The main event of it, I think, was Bruno versus Zbyszko, and the co-main was Hogan versus.
That was Shea Stadium.
Was that Shea Stadium?
Shea Stadium, 1980. Yeah.
Where Hogan actually does slam
He
Andre.
does slam
Yeah.
him. And like the crazy thing about that is he slams him in 1980, and then the whole match in 1986 is about how nobody's ever slammed him. He slammed him in your own company 6 years ago.
And also at that point, that was one of their biggest ever cards.
Yeah,
as well.
that was like because the Zbyszko Bruno
and
thing
Sammartino was box
fucking
office.
box office.
Yeah.
And then you had Hogan, who was white trunks Hogan,
Can't remember what his
Managed
name
by
was.
Freddie Blassie.
managed by Freddie Blassie, and was a heel.
Yeah.
Against Andre.
He's talking about how Prince Devitt was better than Phil Banner still.
Is that where this is going?
Yeah.
No, so like we're talking about Andre as like Andre's legacy, but like in a lot of ways, Andre is the greatest legacy for an attraction in the history of pro wrestling, in terms of like sellouts, fucking everywhere,
Movie star.
everything, fucking
Did it all, broke through.
Yeah.
Your parents know who he is.
I
Yeah.
literally sent on the Obey Andre fucking thing to someone. They were like, "Oh yeah, I know that." And I was like, he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that's all.
That guy's a
Not
wrestler.
only that, he's a French wrestler.
Yeah. Which is
Also a giant.
Yeah, have we concentrated too much on British and Irish? Should we talk a bit more deeper into Europe?
Let's get
Well, if you're looking
stuck
for
in-
Estonian, I've got a fucking guy for you. His name, George Hackenschmidt. The biggest straw, the first ever world champion.
How would you rank him up against Becky's legacy? George Hackenschmidt never main evented WrestleMania, lads.
You just said George Hackenschmidt never wrestled. It was real fights.
No,
He never main evented WrestleMania, so he's no legacy.
Hackenschmidt was the world champion pre-wrestling become a full work. Like the idea of wrestling become a work, it really only kind of started early 1920s. It didn't kind of permeate.
Getting a history lesson now.
We're going back, but it didn't really permeate till the really into the 30s and the 40s when the likes of Toots Munt and everybody started running shows in New York and they were fucking pure carnying and all.
We need to work
Anyway,
these
but
finishes.
like there was a big culture which Bruno Sammartino was part of these fucking European tough men who want to get a fuck out of Europe because there's world wars breaking out all over the shop.
Bruno
so they go
lived
to
in the
America
fucking
and they
mountain.
make coin.
Bruno lived up a mountain. Like.
Your man that trained Mick Foley, Dominic Danucci, he's Italian.
Yeah, like
Antonio Rocca.
Yeah, he was Argentinian. Argentinian Italian.
Yeah, that's kind of like
Potentially German.
Julia's Italian English.
Yeah. And Japanese.
Italian Japanese.
Italian
American Japanese.
Does she have an English name? Was she
Yeah,
not
sure, there is an English tie in there.
Jesus, that's a hell of a stew.
Beautiful woman.
An exotic stew as well.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
beautiful woman.
Italian, Japanese.
Big fan. Big
but
fan
the
over
thing
here.
with Bruno, like, and this is the thing.
Easy
like,
tiger.
Big fan.
Like, you wouldn't, I wouldn't really classify entirely, like, say, someone like Captain Lou Albano, who was born in Italy,
Was that on a US base or
No,
something?
I think he was.
That was Glenn Jacobs.
that was Ken.
That was Glenn Jacobs. But like Lou Albano was born in Rome, baptized in the Vatican. Oh yeah. But then obviously he grows up in New York. But his whole character is very much a rambunctious kind of fucking New Yorker. He's got a pure New York accent. He doesn't really have much traces of his Italian heritage. Whereas San Martino,
Brooklyn Brawler.
San Martino, much like Steve Lombardi. No, San Martino like moved. He was born in Italy, because of the war.
He was 12 or 13 by the time
No,
he got.
he was like San Martino was 4 when he went to the US. But even in his latter years, like San Martino had such a strong sense of his Italian accent
yeah,
still.
yeah.
So that's why it's very easy to classify Bruno as Italian in a way that you maybe wouldn't with like Albano or
like,
Julia.
Bruno,
actually, for that matter.
Bruno was also like promoted, like the whole like idea of the promotion around Bruno was as the immigrant.
That's because, the immigrant experience was
Can't do that anymore.
hugely important to that New York territory that, like, Toots Munt and Vince McMahon and fucking
Gorilla Monsoon
and all the boys were running, like Vince Sr. and Vince Jr. This idea that the world champion had to be an ethnic champion, ideally working class, to play to ethnic working class audiences, which made
Pedro
up
Morales.
Pedro was next
so
up.
Hulk Hogan, apparently.
Hulk Hogan's idea, the idea of Hulk Hogan was that
plan
they bring in a guy for. So they went through like San Martino for the Italians, Pedro Morales for
Puerto
Hispanic
Ricans.
and Puerto Ricans,
Stan
then-
Stasiak for
just randomly
Polish.
Like, yeah.
But he wasn't
I mean,
actually
but-
Polish, I don't think, was he?
until Backlund came along as the All-American boy.
And Backlund was like genuinely for about first time in fucking 20 years or so. There was like the first All-American boy.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Well, he was a heel.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of the standard. They have this ethnic champion. San Martino was legit. Morales was legit. Hogan, as an Irish guy, was very much not legit.
No.
I mean, they fucking hell, they would have loved Sheamus if he rocked up in 1978.
He would have been,
You can
Vince,
imagine-
Vince Senior would have lost his shit.
You can imagine him on that like rock and wrestling cartoon, Sheamus. Like you can imagine the drawing of him already.
But like again, Bruno never main evented WrestleMania, so he can't have the legacy Becky has. Like.
Different parameters.
That man
Different
main
parameters.
evented a million WrestleManias in Madison Square Garden. He's the greatest run of sellouts in Madison Square Garden history.
Is it Paul Heyman's mother that was in, or was it his grandmother that was in the Holocaust?
Heyman, grandmother.
No, but that's not. No, but
Got
what?
real heavy, real
Well,
what?
and it says his mother or his grandmother because you said like
The grandparent rule.
like you would be classified as
We're
European.
not doing the
somewhere.
grandparent rule for this because it's going to be
Roddy
every
Piper
wrestler
from
ever.
Scotland.
Everyone. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
We're going to end up like, look. I think the clearest parameter here is like you're born in fucking Europe.
parameter-
And you
parameter, John.
identify as European.
Parameter.
Sorry, guys.
Let's go deeper into Europe, though. Like,
Let's go, Claudio Castagnoli.
Oh, nice.
Fucking yeah, Swiss Superman.
Like when he showed up, obviously he had his Ring of Honor on. But like, how many fucking Swiss wrestlers were there?
I never signed one before in my life.
And how amazing! Like it was just a visa lottery that got him over.
No way. That's what it was.
Yeah, he just applied and it just a lottery system
still
and
have
got his visa from it.
Well, they had it until
And then became fucking.
The Swiss Superman.
He would have found a way there eventually. I think if he'd stayed in Europe, he would have like
He'd have been snapped.
one
But
of the top stars.
like one of the great things about him though is like he would have had to come in a different way, but his pre WWE indie work was like did you ever go and watch like his Chikara stuff?
Yeah.
It's just like so unique and,
And
brilliant.
Kings of Wrestling.
Kings of
basically.
Wrestling
him and
with Chris
Hero,
Hero.
they were a fantastic tag team.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So sad they never got a fucking mainstream run.
They should have had a mainstream run.
Like
They were
the two
fucking
of them are
great.
not around WWE for long enough.
Exactly. And
They were
like.
knocking around
And,
NXT at the same time.
and Cesaro, was doing shit down in NXT, and like you would have thinking.
And Cesaro's a guy who was kind of like reinvented himself.
Cesaro, oh no. That's what they could have called themselves. Sorry.
Or the Kings of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Can you remember when he showed up and their gimmick was like, this lad is a rugby player?
Yeah,
Imagine
and-
getting a
very
rugby
briefly.
player as a gimmick.
And then he
That's
started.
nearly worse than Kerman White.
And then he started yodeling.
There was
He yodeled
God,
for a
he
while.
yodeled.
Same way they give Becky a fucking jig. Like,
Yeah.
actually, we should really just get into the racism of all of these representations. We're gonna have a lot to draw on. But yeah, they made him fucking yodel.
Rusev. Where's Rusev rank?
He doesn't.
Rusev is just part of this unfortunate lineage of guys who are born in other parts of Europe that have to identify as fucking Russians.
Kozlov.
Nikita Koloff.
Kozlov was.
Koloff. Yeah.
Where's Nikita Koloff actually from?
He's straight up American.
Yeah. Thought that.
Fucking
Ivan Koloff is Canadian.
Demolition Smash. Or is it Smash?
Crusher Khrushchev, Barry Darso, yeah, American.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the only Russian that I can identify who's actually Russian is Ilya Dragunov, who is now naturalized as a German and apparently grew up in Germany. There hasn't been any real bona fide Russian.
Nikita
I don't
Volkov?
think Nikita Volkov is. I mentioned this earlier. WWE has had two Croatian wrestlers, one of whom is Nikolai Volkov, who identified as Russian. The other was.
What
Queso
era?
from the Orient Express. Paul Diamond, who ended up playing Max Moon. Real name is, he used to be a goalkeeper in Croatia. His name is Thomas Boric, I think.
Jesus.
He's Croatian, identified as Japanese, then identified as a man who came from space to be amongst us. So, like, actual legitimate Russians have been really fucking hard to come by. I
people.
mean, that even goes back to the Rocky movies, like when they had to draft in Dolph Lundgren, who's...
Is wrestling not big in Russia? I suppose it's a real American thing, so maybe
Well,
don't
like,
bother
like,
promote it.
Amateur
actually
wrestling is
I
obviously
I
huge
honestly
there.
think the Russian culture, and if we have any Russian listeners, please reach out straight.
is,
But like, I feel like it's too silly for them or something.
Yeah, but it's too American.
You see,
like,
you'll see in the early 90s, though, post breakup of the Soviet Union, a lot of them.
I love that we get to talk about this stuff on the wrestling.
A lot of them ended up going to New Japan with Inoki because he wanted a fuck ton of shoot guys.
Like
you know?
who?
Volkan. I think he's actually Russian.
What's that guy? Oleg Prudius, was it?
There was did Karelin go and do fucking fake New Japan stuff? Like
maybe
Karelin
there
is
was.
like one of the greatest amateur wrestlers of all
Where
time.
was Vladimir Kozlov from? Was he Ukrainian? Was that his thing?
Kozlov.
Kozlov, no, I don't think. I'll check it out.
He was presented as a Russian, but I don't think he was Russian.
I don't know because
Bulgarian?
I mean, no, that's Rusev.
Yeah,
Miro.
Rusev.
It was the idea of presenting him as a Russian. Even at that point,
it made no sense.
it just made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Were
just be
both of the
Bulgarian.
guys from La Resistance French Canadian, or was
Neither.
Was Rene Dupree?
Oh, sorry, French Canadian.
Grenier was definitely Montreal.
Both.
Yeah, and I think so.
Yeah, Kozlov's
is-
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian. Nice.
Yeah, okay. Rene Dupree was also French Canadian. They were. I mean, La Resistance was, presented as a heel French tag team, but they were both French Canadian.
Yeah, I just always associated Dupree for some reason, like with the French flag, obviously.
They gave him like a real uber, like kind of not xenophobic, but like very stereotype gimmicky. Didn't he have a poodle?
Yeah.
He wore a beret.
He did
Came
a
out
little
the French
little
flag,
France
the
thing.
French tickler.
Look, it's a French tickler. I feel like he bet someone up with baguettes once.
But
All
like
that stuff.
Grenier was definitely more, I felt, like French Canadian. Like he definitely wore more of the Quebec stuff on his gear, and I know he was close with Pat Patterson as well. So
is that true?
apparently so. Yeah.
So Volkan is Dagestani. Like
Well,
you
there hasn't been a ton of them in mainstream US wrestling.
No, and like he actually went mainly into MMA after his pro wrestling career, and he trained Fedor Emelianenko, one of the greatest MMA heavyweights of all time.
You mentioned
So that's
something
a
earlier,
funny one.
Scandinavian wrestlers.
Yeah, I was literally about to ask that.
Ludwig Borga, obviously.
Yeah. Has there been a Swedish and
but
Norwegian?
The weird thing, and again, open,
Is it again too silly for them?
Open to correction, but like most European countries, like there's a quite a few Spanish wrestlers, French, German, fucking Dutch,
Italian.
Austrian, Italian. And then you look at all the Scandinavian countries, you know, like...
Who's the greatest Swedish wrestler of all time?
Like, who's a fucking Swedish wrestler? Like, literally the only Scandinavian who I think in any way permeated mainstream wrestling culture in the US and in Japan was Tony Hem, aka Ludwig Borga. And
he sucked.
He was also a Nazi.
Yeah, full-on Nazi.
Full-on Nazi.
If you go Germany, Alex Wright.
Alex Wright was...
Like, he was going to be the next Hulk Hogan, according to Ric Flair.
Alex Wright is a great what if.
Like,
yeah.
Alex Wright, like
Tons of talent.
he's not so much a what if in that, like, he had a very, very good WCW run. I think it's just a pity that the guy, because he was only 30 when WCW folded, he could have had a very long and fruitful WWE run.
He could have had 10 or 12 years there.
Was it just was the Dance 2 comedy?
He had everything I think that Ludwig Kaiser has now, but like he was way more marketable and way more mainstream. His father was a British wrestler, Steve Wright, who ended up pitching up in Germany, as a lot of British wrestlers did in that era. Like, they all put in a fucking shift wrestling the carnivals for CWA. Who was the guy who ran CWA? I think he was fucking Bozilla's dad. What's his name?
Oh, yes.
His name has gone out of my head. Is it not Ulf? No. Anyway.
Waldo
Van Otto. I forget his fucking name. Anyway, but basically, there was such a huge German team. This guy's like the Vince McMahon of German wrestling.
Otto Vance.
Otto Vance.
Sorry, I was trying to look up Scandinavian pro wrestlers, and literally there's none.
There's not a lot of
It's like even when you type in wrestler, it's all like Greco-Roman shit.
Bozilla's dad is Ulf Herman.
Ulf Herman is not the promoter. Otto Vance is the promoter.
he was a wrestler, though.
Ulf Herman was a German wrestler.
Yeah, he was a German wrestler. Yeah. But Otto Vance was the promoter.
Yeah.
Big scene in
Brett
Germany.
loved him,
But you would
didn't he?
think if there was a load of Scandinavian wrestlers, they would have kind of made their way
Migrated
down.
down,
Especially with like the perfect gimmick of being a fucking Viking.
Yeah, because the Viking gimmick ends up going to fucking America
Guys,
like
the
John Lord.
Berserker.
Yeah, John Lord.
No one is
fucking,
yeah.
You know, like...
Or a beautiful Swede. Like they're very good looking.
You can't tell me that no promoter in the territory days or Vince McMahon in the 80s wouldn't have loved to have gotten a legitimate Scandinavian
Danish
badass
fucking...
who they could paint as an actual Viking.
Yeah, they would have gone berserk for it.
He would have got the Sheamus push.
Berserk, nice.
Very good.
Thanks.
No Icelandic
Are we
wrestlers
friends
as
again,
well.
John? Are we friends again?
Yeah, we're friends again.
There is
For
on
now.
TikTok. There is guys that have like this really small wrestling ring. It's like 10 by 10. Like, so a normal wrestling ring is what, 16 by 16. This could be 10 by 10, 12 by 12. And they're on TikTok starting an Icelandic wrestling.
Okay, send that to me.
school.
I need. I'll review it once a week.
These days.
Iceland is the only one of the main countries that like I don't feel like there's a big wrestling culture, but it's great.
Very
that there is.
small country though, like population wise, you know.
Portuguese wrestlers, Aldo Montoya. He's the Portuguese man of war.
Why did he get that gimmick? Did he have any kind of Portuguese ancestry?
I have no idea.
Just Incredible / PJ Polaco.
Just
He surely
They
did.
threw a jockstrap on his fucking head.
Yeah,
I mean, at that
they
point,
did.
Vince wanted to do like ethnic gimmicks from like everywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least with Ludwig Borga, he was legitimately Finnish. He came out to the Finnish national anthem. He finished lads
Hey.
Do you think because of
sexually and in the ring.
No.
do you think because WWE like obviously speaking English, that's why it's had such a profound effect on the English speaking countries within Europe?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not like a ton of fucking Dutch wrestlers. I mean, the most prominent one is
End.
probably Tommy End, Alistair Black.
There's probably a few more.
Belgian wrestlers.
Is Dijak,
Well,
Dijak legit
Dutch.
Croatian, no?
No, I think he's American, but of Croatian heritage, isn't he?
Who's this?
Donovan Dijak.
Of Croatian heritage, I think.
Yeah.
He's American though. Yeah,
He used to
Dijak
come out
Kovic.
with the
With the flag.
flag.
Yeah. I think is he from up around Chicago somewhere? There's a big Croatian community in Chicago.
What was his name on the Independence? Was it Donovan Dijak?
Donovan Dijak. Donovan Dijakovic.
That's
Yeah,
what
the full
it
name.
was.
Yeah,
Dijakovic, yeah.
He shortened it to just Dijak.
Dijak, yeah.
But now he's Donovan Dijak
Which
again,
is a good
he?
name.
I mean,
Donovan Dijak again.
Austria's got a great pedigree as well. Obviously, Gunter been a big one, but now we got like Tekla, who's the new AEW Women's Champion.
Banger match too.
Banger match too.
Kaiser's German, right?
Kaiser's legit German.
And the other guy is
Everyone thinks Gunter is German in the way they think fucking Adolf Hitler is German. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the two of them are
Giovanni Vinci is
Swedish.
Both are actually Swedish.
Giovanni Vinci, Fabian Eichner who is Italian.
Italian, yeah, with some German ancestry.
Eichner he's Italian German, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Italian German, but I think he was born in
But
Italy.
Giovanni Vinci is full on Italian.
They're the same guy.
Well, the same
Sorry,
guy.
yeah.
But the presentation,
mixing up
the same guy, brah.
he ended up in Imperium because of his German ancestry.
Yeah.
But then when they repackaged him for that absolute disaster of a run that he had,
Yeah.
he was very much been packaged as an Italian playboy, which is probably more in line with
he's
his.
a good worker.
Where were the
But he
authors
tried
of
to
pain
dig
from?
into a fucking.
Were the authors of pain from
are Italian.
Armenian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Much like Seth Rollins, who's of Armenian heritage too. His dad's Armenian.
Yeah, he's not in the top 10
I thought
either.
he was
Him
Hispanic.
and
When you look
Becky are
at
11
Seth Rollins, you're like that is an Armenian dude.
He looks like he could be playing bass for System of a Down.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Are they Armenian?
They're
Armenian, yeah.
Armenian
They
descent.
sing about
yeah.
genocide all the time. Armenian genocide.
I've never listened to a System of a Down song.
They're
so.
class. I'm going to see them in Dusseldorf this summer.
Oh, Dusseldorf.
Interesting.
A little Dusseldorfen.
Anyway, it's not too wrestling.
I mean, there's been Scottish world champions and Irish world champions. I'm not going to brag about all this, but like at least England have some solace in the fact that like Wales haven't really bothered the main event too much. As much as there's
Mason
been
Ryan.
great.
Mason Ryan. Hello.
Sorry, Mason Ryan. Adrian Street.
Mason Ryan.
Adrian Street is probably one of the more prominent ones.
Is Adrian Street Welsh?
He's well.
I thought he was English.
His dad was a coal miner. He started wrestling to get out of the coal mines.
Sick.
And then he adopted this really flamboyant,
Which he used
character.
to bring into the coal mines. He used to bring that
Well, he
character
did when he
da-
made it big. He
Yeah,
went down
yeah,
and
yeah.
he had photos taken with
And,
his
like-
dad, and his dad thought it was great crack, and it was
And
very
did-
funny.
And all the other coal miners
but
thought
like-
it was fucking
but
weird.
this is the thing. In
Did he hate Thatcher?
probably yeah.
Not Terry or Timothy, but
But
Margaret.
Yeah, sure.
He probably did. I mean, the thing with him is like he was a genuine fucking hard man. So even though he was rocking this very effeminate, flamboyant gimmick, busting around like fucking Wales in the 1970s, if anybody stepped to him, he'd knock them the fuck
Oh,
out.
he was known
And
as
then,
a
and it's
fucking
kind of
shooter.
like he had a run around the territories, but it's kind of sad that like effectively, you know, Adrian Adonis kind of stole his fucking gimmick for the mainstream in WWF
and got over with it.
and got over with it.
I never
And
liked
then-
Adrian Adonis.
I'm
I'm a big fan of Adonis.
I'm on
to
a
be honest.
Adrian Adonis.
It's a little bit too
retrospect now.
amazing.
Do you think-
I
Yeah, but you see the stuff with Jerry Lawler
but
and
you
stuff.
think
That's what I'm saying. I
He's
like
a great
Adrian Adonis
worker.
before he became like the WWF version.
Yes, same.
Well, he only ran that kind of like homophobia baiting gimmick probably for about, I know it was his biggest run, but like he only ran it for about 2 years and then he reverted back to the kind of like leather jacket wearing hardman biker kind of gimmick that he always had. But like it's tough for Adrian Street because then he had to watch guys like Adonis, even like Dustin Rhodes with the Goldust gimmick doing extent, take what he had done in the 70s, which was very, very innovative. I mean, elements of Gorgeous George in there to a degree, but like he did it on a much bigger scale, kind of folding in glam rock as well. And yeah, it's a pity he didn't get a good mainstream run, but he's probably the most prominent Welsh wrestler.
Yeah, didn't even know he was Welsh. Thought he was English.
Do you think at the moment Europe is the new professional wrestling centre of the universe, with the fact that they're trying to do an NXT Europe as well?
I just think in
And
terms of
AEW obviously are selling out there, France, Spain, hotbeds,
I think
Germany.
like, in terms of talent development, it's probably at the forefront of the industry at the minute. In terms of like growth region, because Spain is undergoing growth, France is undergoing growth. I know Ireland and England have probably stagnated a little bit, but they're still producing tons of talent. I'm like talking like, you know, Ireland and England had such a hot period 10 years ago that it was hard to continue growing from that.
Like you look at like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, and they're apparently really
influence,
involved
yeah.
with AAA. Like, so I know we might be seeing
Is
them.
it Triple H?
AAA.
Oh, Triple H.
Yeah. So they're like producing stuff. Karrion Kross recently came out and said Pete Dunne is one of the best minds in the industry for actually putting together wrestling matches.
That's no surprise, really.
Pac, we kind of didn't really speak about Pac too much.
Pac, and like Pac is just another.
I was watching Pac
fucking-
wrestle Bingo Balance in the Laughter Lounge on IWW Season 2 Whiplash. It's available on YouTube. And he busts out a fucking 6:30 in the finish.
Of course he does. It's Pac.
I mean, the more
He's
you
a
name,
psychopath.
but the more you name like so many of the English wrestlers, particularly, it is still so mad that they haven't had a mainstream world champion yet. I will be Ospreay. Ospreay's going to be.
Oh no, that's without a shadow of a doubt. Soon.
Well, like he was the New Japan champion anyway.
Yeah,
which is-
IWGP
was
champion,
it
yeah.
His first ever
who-
interview exclusive was by myself and Morro.
Too far.
You also got that famous picture of him at the basketball stadium
Chip
at the Chip Fan.
Yeah, with full gear, getting a bag of chips. Class.
What was the name of Dynamite's trainer? Billy Robinson, wasn't it?
Billy Robinson, we haven't mentioned.
There's
yeah.
another guy who had a
Massive influence.
massive
and a
influence.
huge run in Japan as well.
And was a legit shooter too. Yeah. He wasn't like the trainer. I'm trying to think of the actual trainer of Dynamite Kid. I think Dynamite Kid would have done some time with him. Dynamite Kid trained in this place called, was it the Snake Pit in Wigan?
Yeah.
Was Billy
I thought that was
Robinson a
Billy
trainer?
Robinson's,
I know.
maybe-
I feel like
maybe
it's
I'm
someone
wrong.
else who was the trainer there. I could be wrong. But yeah, like Billy Robinson definitely was. I suppose he was kind of the standard bearer for that era of technical wrestlers that came out of England.
Inoki loved him as well.
Yeah, he worked with it. Did he do some training with Inoki?
Yeah. And Inoki used to have him over to train a lot of their young lion. Well, they weren't called young lions, I suppose, at the time, but they're dojo guys. Billy Robinson would have trained a lot of New Japan dojo guys. Who's your... or will we do our modern...
Do we have listeners?
Yeah,
listeners from Discord.
We'll go through some...
Do you want to say... Anyone want to say their Mount Rushmore?
The Mount Rushmore of overall, like, European wrestlers.
I think so. Like, whatever kind of parameters you want to put on it yourself.
Well, I'm going to go with influence and most success.
Sounds like you're going with achievement.
No.
Go on, go for it.
Okay,
I have 3 out of 4. I'm trying to think of the 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, the 4 for me, I'm going to go for, in terms of European wrestlers, Mount Rushmore, Andre the Giant, Bruno Sammartino, Becky Lynch, and Davey Boy Smith.
That's exactly the same as mine.
Pretty much. But with the exception of... and I'm not...
Dolph is my new friend now.
I think mine is better.
the only one that I'm not sure on, and that's because I haven't seen a load of it, is Bruno. But like, I can understand the influence of someone like Bruno.
I think it also covers every era almost. Like you got early WWF, you got the Hogan era, you got Dave, our own era growing up.
An English guy to just show everyone that we're not biased.
And then top off with a lovely Irish lass.
Yeah. I'll go through some of our listeners.
Before that, was there any big European wrestler during the Attitude Era?
Dave Boy Smith came back.
Yeah. David Boy Smith came back. They tried to bring in this German guy called Brackus.
Was
a fucking muscle freak.
They sent him to ECW.
Yeah, and he did absolutely nothing.
Al Snow.
Alex Ray.
Alex Roy should have had a WF run. He was very prominent. Yeah. Even when he came back with that weird like
Berlin.
Berlin gimmick.
I didn't like that. But I got it because it was...
Yeah, it was it was something different for him, and I liked how kind of like he looked like a villain from a Matrix movie. You know what I mean? It was a good vibe for the late 90s. Didn't do a lot for him, but Alex Wright was one of the most prominent European wrestlers. Attitude Era. I'm trying to think like outside of Davey Boy Smith, like who the fuck was there?
Yeah,
like
radio silence.
Like the World of Sport era with like that's when
more in WCW.
That's when the indies died. I would imagine in Europe and the UK were fucking dead.
Dead as disco.
And that's why I think FWA, and then I think it became 1PW. Like not FWA became 1PW, but 1PW grew out of that, and you were getting fucking Steve Corino and Abyss and fucking Sterling James Keenan, which became Corey Graves. Yeah. But you were getting all these UK talents that were working through that then influenced the likes of the Ospreys and the likes of the Pete Dunnes and what became of the scene. And that's why now so many of them are making an impact in the current product. So like those early 2000s, we mentioned it, Jody Flesh, fucking Johnny Storm, first independent match I ever seen was like Johnny Storm and AJ Styles. Like I think that is so influential, the wrestling channel in itself. And there could be
say nothing.
Okay, say nothing. There could be something with the wrestling channel coming up. That's
just in case it doesn't happen, and it'll be all very sad.
Yeah.
I'll go through the listeners' ones. Oshin Mack, Regal, Andre, Bruno, British Bulldog.
Dave Taylor.
Ronan the Analyst.
Oh God, I can't believe I'm talking about Dave Taylor.
Ronan the Analyst, your friend. Andre, Dynamite Kid, Regal, Prince Devitt. Notably, no Becky. Lyle Squared, Osprey, Gunter, Balor, Drew. He said he was going modern. Then there's someone I disagreed with heavily here. I'm looking for the one I disagreed.
Becky Lynch, and I went, no.
Here it is. Evan O'Rafferty. Sheamus, Finn, Becky, Drew. And I promise him I call him a fucking idiot on the podcast.
That's a pretty solid Mount Rushmore.
I know. I was like,
but if you're young as well, like he's a lot younger.
He's young. Yeah.
Although we're still throwing Bruno in.
Game knows game.
He threw Bruno in fairness. And then I thought an interesting one Ronan stuck in for his modern
let's do modern in a sec.
So we'll start with Ronan's. He went Osprey, Zach, Becky and Claudio.
Oh, Zach, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So A-Kid.
A-Kid's a good show.
Aguila Bled.
But there's not a huge depth of Spanish wrestlers. I mean, particularly in the mainstream, all I can think of is
No, he's French.
Aguila Blanc is French. Like in terms of Spanish wrestlers, in terms of the mainstream, Axiom,
Which is A-Kid.
and Kane.
Kane is mentioned.
A-Kane. A Isaac Yankum.
A-Train.
A Fake Diesel.
A-Train.
If you look at Belgium, you're going to have Ricky Sosa. He is 100% going to
I thought he was French.
No, he's Belgian.
He's
I need to
class.
change
They
nationality
signed
him
Mike
again.
DeVecchio, who's Belgian as well, I believe.
Oh, they signed that girl. What's her name?
Ren
Ren Leverkusen.
Leverkusen.
She's English.
Oh, is she? Yeah.
I think Will Cruz might be signed as well.
No way.
I think.
Where's
I don't
Will
know.
Cruz from?
He's from England.
Okay.
He's
Very German.
He used to play centre mid for Germany.
Why don't we see him every week in Ireland?
Son of Tony.
He's class. Joe Hendry.
Don't.
I'm just saying.
Don't.
He's Scottish.
It's funny no one mentioned him actually.
I mean,
Wolfgang and the Coffees.
like it's Scotland. I mean, they got Nikki Cross, who's a former women's world champion, and
Cross.
Piper Niven as well. Like Scotland is fucking repping in a way that
Big Damo. No one mentioned him with the Irish crew.
True.
Yeah.
that is true. Yeah.
Tron.
Nobody mentioned Damien Carvin, the last true heavyweight.
If you're talking about Welsh wrestlers, you have Flash Morgan Webster, Mark
Andrews, yeah.
The whole,
Nixon Newell.
like the whole NXT UK scene, like we kind of
just
passed over.
Yeah, I know,
that.
but see, like,
That shows how much, like, how many fucking
there is.
how much depth there is in fucking
mad
in the
depth,
UK and in Ireland.
Like
as well.
in Ireland,
is young vets.
if you're looking at
no
people
one mentioned
that are,
Marty Skrull.
if you're looking, if
I
you're
was just hanging around with him outside. I asked him.
Did you take a selfie?
He tried to take a selfie and I slapped his phone out. Of his hand.
if you're
Marty, come on now.
looking at the wrestling
rogue.
side of him, like he did very well for himself before
yeah.
that went to fucking nuts. You look at someone like LJ, who is a proper like independent wrestler making his living, and he's from Ireland. You know, I know his missus signed to WWE, and lots of people signed to WWE, but when you look at actual independent
He's wrestling
wrestling,
Jonathan Gresham on WrestleMania weekend.
like he had his tour with no.
What's the stipulation there? Like winner gets to join their missus in WWE.
But like what he's doing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like he's making a living from wrestling outside of a big company.
Yeah.
That's
He was just in the MLW Royal Rumble.
I think LJ is going to end up in WWE.
I think he'll end up somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, he should. LJ.
He was just
definitely.
in the MLW Battle Royale. Is that what you
Like,
said?
we didn't mention Lyra either. Like she's a former champion.
Yeah, yeah, we
WWE.
should-
I mentioned
know,
Lyra when I was waxing philosophical about how great Becky is.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I didn't.
well,
didn't
Grado.
Not top 10.
Grado, good shout.
Grado was in TNA for a while.
I mean, Grado's had a fantastic. I mean, this is the thing. Like the depth of Scottish wrestlers, particularly, and they've been
Well,
kind of more
ICW
Can we do our modern four?
Myla Grace is in TNA.
And
Myla
that
Grace
girl,
is
who's
from-
the girl with the pink hair?
Harley Quinn.
She's in TNA as well.
Harley Quinn, is it?
Harley Hudson.
Harley
sorry.
Hudson.
She's
yeah.
Scouse, isn't she?
She. I don't think she's Scouse, but
Liverpool.
She could be. Yeah, she could be actually. Yeah.
Right, your modern four, Shane.
Modern four. Oh, I don't know. Osprey, Becky, Finn, Sheamus.
Fair.
Osprey, Gunther,
Oh, Gunther, fuck!
uh,
Sorry, Shamo.
Becky, Finn. No, Becky, Osprey.
You said
You
Osprey.
said Osprey twice.
Yeah, Osprey twice.
He takes two spots.
Osprey, Becky, Finn. I'm really torn. It's between fucking Drew and Gunter. I'm gonna go Drew.
Oh, wow. Would you, yeah?
I'm going.
Because he's going to main event this year's WrestleMania. According to my prediction, which is going to work out. Just so
I'm
you know.
going to go with Osprey,
Yeah.
Zach, David, and Walter.
Do you know what? I just hate you for even
You're
saying.
a
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
We all know who you're saying.
And just to finish, I know we went through like obviously like
Sorry, I forgot about Kip Sabian. Oh, shut up, Morro.
Kip Sabian.
like we talked about the European all timers and then the modern ones, and we talked about like Irish Mount Rushmore.
Drilla.
Do you have a Kilkenny Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
No, but I tell you what I do have.
I do
have
Conor Hurley,
Number one.
Shane, Conor Hurley.
Shane the Bruiser, Frankie Vendetta.
Lou Frettel.
Lou Frell.
Actually, there's another
It's
guy.
actually pretty good that you can do one.
There's another guy from Kilkenny who also has the surname O'Keefe, who is a
yeah.
wrestler, and he wrestles in England.
You need to sue him.
His name is Breffany O'Keefe.
Oh yeah, I seen him doing some
He's from Kilkenny.
stuff on
Yeah,
Instagram. Yeah.
Fair play.
He was wrestling in London or something there, was it? Yeah, seen that.
And he's younger, so he's a real chance.
Unlike us.
I do have a Mount Rushmore of Irish wrestling podcasters. Shane O'Keefe,
Hey!
Kieran Dunphy,
Hey-o.
Johnny Mortos,
Yes.
and me. First place on it.
I would
I'm
say,
surprised you didn't just slot Dynamite
I
Kid in
go
there
on the
for
5
the
marks.
that's
I go on the 5 marks as the fourth one, but the other 3 I agree with you.
Yeah, fuck
why,
you.
where did we rank this week? We got up to we got to the
we
top
peaked
10.
at 10th last week.
Yeah.
This week I haven't checked.
Numbers are better this week
I
on
know,
the last
but
one.
The numbers are better, but I'll check when I go home.
Does it translate?
Is there any prominent European wrestlers that we somehow missed?
We definitely did.
Definitely.
Yeah,
we don't
100%.
do
I don't
any
think
prep
we
for
did.
this.
Who have we
And we
not talked
spam
about?
names with each other.
I honestly don't. Unless you're going real old
Have we
timey.
mentioned every European wrestler?
We mentioned like a lot of fake foreign heels as well, like the Von Erichs and like the various
Santino.
Kolofs and Russians. Santino wasn't it? We didn't talk about it.
We did. We mentioned him in the
Milan Miracle himself.
the women's conversation.
But again, most of those guys who like came from Italian heritage just presented with Italian gimmicks. Before Santino, it was fucking Tom Brandi, aka Salvatore Sincere, who just had the Italian flag on his trunks when he got absolutely turfed out of the 98 Royal Rumble in fucking 3 seconds. Good times. Anyway, the grandparent rule doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. No.
Tony Mama Luke.
I just did a search here. I think we've literally mentioned
Everyone.
every single one.
Everyone.
Every wrestler ever born in Europe.
Yeah. Absolute. Do we mention Absolute Andy?
Oh, he's actually my number 10. Becky's out my top 10.
Do we mention Jodie Flesh?
Oh, he's my number 11.
Yeah, we
Becky's down
did.
to 12.
I love Johnny Flash.
Karsten Beck,
There's been a-
Emil Sitaki.
This has been the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show.
This has been
Please,
the Wrestling Fan Wrestling Show Eurovision.
please like and subscribe and comment below. Hit that notification bell. I'm the Big Beefy Boy, Shaz Beefs, fellow Morro, Johnny the Draw Beast Mortos,
We're not worthy.
and Gherkins himself. Thanks very much
Dunph.
for
My name
listening.
is Dunph.
Kieran Dunphy, everyone.
Come on, a bit of respect.
Is that, are you changing gimmick now? Because he turned heel, so like we can't have another gimmick change.
I think you are the heels.
What?
Just so you
What?
know. Yeah.
What?
100%, yeah. You are definitely heels.
You're an antagonist.
I'm 100% genuine all the time.
What happened
You
to this
call me
podcast
Gherkins,
to
for
cause all
God's
of us
sake.
to start fighting?
I'm genuine to a fault.
Who's the heels in this? Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. Who is the heels?
who is the heels? Oh, me and Morro feel like poor Public Enemy.
I know
against
it,
the
and
APA
as
over
well,
there.
I know it's fun.
beating
I know,
the shit
I know
out of
it's
us.
fun to enjoy the heels and everything, but like who's getting the?
I turned heel on Morro. I didn't turn heel on anyone else.
Yeah.
It's a Bret Hart 97 turn.
Yeah, exactly.
He's heel on this side,
Yeah,
but face
face on
still
this
there.
side.
Over there. That's fair.
Thanks very much for listening. Comment below who's the heel. Good luck.